He said, look, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, and my words abide in you. There are some people, they're abiding in Jesus, but his word is not abiding in them. They're saved, but his word is not living large in their heart. Hi, I'm Bayless Conley. In life, we all face uncertainty, whether it's financial troubles, relationship valleys, a health crisis, or just trying to discover your purpose. One thing is for certain, God sees you. He loves you, and no matter what you're facing, he has the answers. All right, with that, Psalm 119, you turn there with me if you would. I want to speak to you from verses 9 through verse 16 of Psalm 119, and I'd like to begin just by reading through those. Psalm 119, verse 9, it begins with a question. How can a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed according to your word. With my whole heart I have sought you. Oh, let me not wander from your commandments. Your word I have hidden in my heart, that I might not sin against you. Blessed are you, O Lord. Teach me your statutes. With my lips I have declared all the judgments of your mouth. I have rejoiced in the way of your testimonies as much as in all riches. I will meditate on your precepts and contemplate your ways. I will delight myself in your statutes. I will not forget your word. Amen. Amen. I'd like to back up and just look at the first few verses for a moment. That first one, how can a young man cleanse his way? Young people, are you listening to me? How can you live pure in a dirty world? How can you live pure in a world that parades things and calls them virtuous that God calls sinful and wrong? The Bible says we live in the midst of a perverse and a crooked nation. How can you live clean in an unclean world? Well, by giving your attention to God's word. And if you've already gotten entangled and if you're morally compromised already, how can you get cleansed? How can you get right? How can you begin to walk in holiness before God? By giving attention to God's word. I remember a story Wayne Cordero told us. He was here on a Wednesday night. He was speaking at a conference somewhere here in the States, and he decided to stay in this little boutique hotel that was near the conference site. He really liked it, and he said he was there, and the staff was so helpful. They went out of their way to make sure he had everything he needed, and it just like he said it was the service was exemplary. And there was a little bar area. He sat down in there to get some food. He's gotten something to eat. And this very attractive young woman came and sat down at the table opposite him. And he just assumed she was staff from the hotel. She said, you staying here in the hotel? He said, I am. He said, it's been wonderful. She said, oh, that's good. I'm so glad to hear that. And he said, and the food is great. The service has just been great. She said, wonderful. She said, would you like some company tonight? And he realized she wasn't hotel staff, she was a working girl. And the first thought that came to him was, no one will know. But the next thing that happened, he said, I looked across the room and I saw Joseph standing there. And he said, Wayne, look at me, eyes on me. You remember me with Potiphar's wife? You remember that? You remember what I did? All right, follow me, run. Wayne said, I jumped up from the table and I ran out of that bar area. Well, it was the word that he had put in his heart was speaking to him. And God's word will do that. Look at the next couple verses, verses 10 and 11. With my whole heart I've sought you. Oh, let me not wander from your commandments. Your word I have hidden in my heart, that I might not sin against you. When we put his word in our hearts, it will keep us from wandering off into error, and it will keep us from sinning against him. Notice that I might not sin against you. Now, I think we all know when you sin, it impacts a lot of people. Think about David and his sin with Bathsheba. It certainly influenced and impacted Bathsheba's family. Her husband ended up dead. And then years later, When Absalom, David's son, tried to take over the kingdom, ran David out of Jerusalem, there was a counselor, an old man named Ahithophel. And the Bible says he was so respected and so revered in Israel that his counsel was looked at as if he were an angel of God when he spoke. And he went over to Absalom's side and he said, I tell you what, Absalom, you need to shame David in front of everyone. What you need to do is on the city wall, in the sight of everyone, you need to sleep with all of his concubines in front of all Israel. Absalom did it. I used to read that and think, man, what did this guy have stuck in his craw that he would give such vile counsel to David's son? But then I studied his lineage, his genealogy. Ahithophel was Bathsheba's grandfather. And he was so bitter over what David had done to his granddaughter and to his grandson-in-law, and he just hung on to it. Yes, it affected her family. It certainly affected David. He was in misery and in a dry place, separated from his relationship with God. It affected his family in terrible ways. It affected the nation. And yet, when David talked about that sin, and when he prayed about it, it's recorded in Psalm 51, David said, God, this sin is against you. You see, because first and foremost, sin affects our relationship with God. And that's the most important thing to consider. The psalmist said, Lord, I've hidden your word in my heart so that I might not sin against you, because that's my primary concern. When we put his word in our heart, it will keep us in the way of holiness. But it does so much more than that. It will also shield us from the schemes of crooked and devious people. And there's a lot of crooked and devious people in this world. Proverbs 2 and verse 1 opens with these words, my son, if you receive my words and treasure my commands within you. And then after that, it just reinforces putting the word of God in your heart. It says it in different ways. So you put the word in your heart, and then it flows out in this proverb into the benefits that happen when you treasure his word within you and put it in your heart. One of those benefits is found in verse 15, that when we put his word in our heart, it shields us from those whose ways are crooked and who are devious in their paths. And I've talked about this before, but years back, there was an opportunity for churches and ministries to invest in this thing that was touted as God's end-time strategy to evangelize the world, to fund the evangelization of the world. And I almost didn't know anyone that hadn't gotten involved. A number of pastor friends of mine had invested in it, and several other large ministries that I was acquainted with invested hugely in it, and the buy-in was $250,000. But the returns were like ridiculous. I mean, just huge. And I talked to several of my friends that had been in it, and I said, Bayless, I'm telling you, the thing's legit. You know, every month, we get this check, comes in every month. It's there. But I was bothered inside. Something bothered me. The scripture says this in Proverbs 6, that when we put God's commands and his word in our heart, it says this, Proverbs 6:22, when you roam, they will lead you. When you sleep, they'll keep you. And when you awake, they will speak with you. And it seemed that the principles of God's word were speaking to me. Like Proverbs 28:20, a person who wants quick riches will get into trouble. Proverbs 20:21, an inheritance gained hastily in the beginning will not be blessed in the end. And Proverbs 19:2, haste makes mistakes. And there was just sort of this urgency, you need to do now. The opportunity won't always be there. And I remember this representative from them was talking to me. And he said, look, you need to do this. so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. They've all invested in this. They all believe in it. They all know. And I remember him saying, this is God's strategy. For this era we're living in, to fund the gospel. Think of all the souls that'll be won. Think of all the outreaches that you can fund and that you can do. But this opportunity won't be here forever. You need to do it. And there was just like this sort of, push. Do it now, do it now, do it now. And I was just bothered. And verses like that just kept speaking to my heart. And I said, you know what? No thanks. God bless you, but no thanks, I'm out. And I remember the guy absolutely shamed me for not doing it. He said, you're missing God. You're robbing your church of the opportunity to do so much more. I said, you know what? No thanks. Well, a year later, the whole thing came crashing. Actually, less than a year later, the whole thing came crashing down. Turned out it was a giant Ponzi scheme. And the guys that were heading it up all ended up in jail. And they stole $60 million from churches and ministries. And it's very doubtful that all those churches and ministries got any of their funds back. God's word shielded me, and I'm sure others as well, but his word shielded me from devious and crooked people. And, the fact is, Jesus died for the whole world. But there are some devious, crooked people in the world, and they will not think twice about swindling you or taking advantage of you or taking advantage of the ones that you love. But the scripture says when we put his word in our heart, it will shield us from people like that. It also is the key to a fruitful prayer life. Consider these words that Jesus said, and I know you'll recognize them. John chapter 15, verses 7 and 8. Think about this. He said, if. Everyone say if. All right, this is a big if. If is a big word in the Bible. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire, and it shall be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, so you will be my disciples. Now, Jesus is talking about prayer fruit. He said, look, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, and my words abide in you. There are some people, they're abiding in Jesus, but his word is not abiding in them. They're saved, but his word is not living large in their heart. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask what you desire, it'll be done. And the Father will be glorified by the fruit that comes from those prayers. Now I'm going to say something, and I'll just tell you in advance, this is worth you getting it tattooed somewhere on your body, okay? This is that good. Prayer does not make faith work. Faith makes prayer work. And faith is the result of the word abiding in your heart. I'm going to say that again. Prayer does not make faith work. Faith makes prayer work. And faith is the result of God's word abiding in your heart. I'd say that's pretty important. And the truth is every one of us is storing up someone's word in our hearts. It may be the current narrative of the secular media, which is the gospel to some people. It may be the word of politicians. It may be the word of actors that feel like they need to comment on every social thing that's going on. It may be the word of some sports personality or of some social media personality, the word of your family, the word of your friends, the word of your professor. And James said some people's tongues have been set on fire or inspired by hell. So it's very important to take a look at the words that you're allowing to take root in your heart. And the truth is you can always tell what's in a person's heart. You can always tell what a person's been putting in their heart, because when they are provoked or when they're under pressure, it will come out. It's the way we're wired up. When you're provoked, when you're under pressure, what's in your heart comes out. Jesus said, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. And my friend, when heart and lips join forces, things begin to happen. It will impact your life, and it will impact the lives of those around you for good or for evil. Think about these words that Jesus said. This is from Matthew 12, beginning in verse 33. He said, either make the tree good and its fruit good, or else make the tree bad and its fruit bad. For a tree is known by its fruit. Brood of vipers, how can you, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. A good man, out of the good treasure of his heart, brings forth good things. Everyone say, brings forth. All right, a good man, out of the good treasure of his heart, what he stored up in his heart, he will bring forth good things. And an evil man, out of the evil treasure, brings forth evil things. Now, some people are bringing forth good things into their marriage. They're bringing forth good things into the lives of their children. They're bringing forth good things into their careers. Other people, they're bringing forth bad things into their marriages, bad things into their families, bad things into their life, bad things into their careers. And friend, it will affect you. What you put in your heart will come out your mouth. It'll affect you spiritually. It'll affect you emotionally. It'll affect you socially. It will affect you materially. It'll affect you physically. It'll impact all of your relationships. And if you'll put His word in your heart, it will bless you, it will increase you, and it will bless and increase those around you. We must put His word in our heart. The question is, how do we do that? Well, let's go back to Psalm 119, those very verses that we began with, and he actually gives us three words, or three different methods of putting the word in our heart. The first one is this: we must look to the Holy Spirit for illumination. Right in the middle of those verses, Psalm 119 and verse 12, he said, "Blessed are you, O Lord. Teach me your statutes." Teach me your statutes. Now, the Holy Spirit is the teacher. Jesus said when the Holy Spirit comes, He will teach you. He will lead and guide you into all the truth. And right after that, He said, "Father, your word is truth." In fact, when Jesus referred to the Holy Spirit as the Comforter, that Greek word also means teacher. He's the teacher. And if we will unhurriedly spend time in the Word and say, "Holy Spirit, teach me. Give me illumination," He will. And that's when the Word changes us. The second thing He tells us is in verse 13, is we must declare His word aloud. Declare His word aloud. Verse 13, "With my lips I have declared all the judgments of your mouth." Now, the Hebrew word literally means to speak aloud, but there's a secondary meaning that's wrapped up in it. It's actually a twofold meaning. The secondary meaning means to scratch, score, or to carve into a surface permanently. To scratch, to score, or to carve out, to inscribe permanently on the surface of something. And that's the idea. When we declare God's word aloud, we begin to inscribe it on our hearts. And we say it again, and it inscribes itself deeper. We say it again, it gets inscribed to where it's permanent. And we'll be like Jesus when He was tempted by Satan in the wilderness, said over and over, "It is written." And then He quoted the scripture. It had been inscribed on His heart. We need to speak it aloud. And then the third thing He tells us that we must do is we need to ruminate. We must ruminate. Verse 15 of Psalm 119, he said, "I will meditate on your precepts and contemplate your ways." Now, the word contemplate means to look intently at something. And the word meditate means to ponder or to roll over and over in your mind, to reflect upon. In fact, the original word carries with the thought of muttering and murmuring to yourself over and over. You're not speaking to anybody else but just to yourself. You're reflecting and you're saying it over and over as you think about it. In fact, the best English equivalent of this Hebrew word meditate means to ruminate or to chew the cud. It's something that sheep do. And you know, we are the sheep of his pasture, are we not? He is the great shepherd. We are his flock. Did you know that sheep have 4 stomachs? When they forage and they graze, they'll eat, grass and sticks and different things, and it goes into that first stomach, but they really can't digest it. And so what they do when they lay down, they'll begin to ruminate. Literally, they regurgitate that from their first stomach and they begin to re-chew it. And a healthy sheep will do that for hours every day. It's called chewing the cud. They regurgitate it and they re-chew it, and then it goes back into that first stomach and then to the next stomach, then to the next, eventually digested, turns into energy, turns into muscle. But they never ruminate while they're foraging, nor do they do it while they're being herded. They only do it when they are resting. What a picture that is. The Lord is my shepherd. He makes me lie down in green pastures. What do I do there? I chew on his word. I reflect on it. I meditate on it. I speak it. And the Holy Spirit begins to illuminate this to me. Now listen, if we have time to spend on social media, we have time to ruminate his word. If we have time to watch our favorite shows, we have time to ruminate in his word. This is so important. If you don't learn to do this, you will never live the abundant life that Christ died to provide. You will never live the influential life that is your potential and God's will for you if you don't do this. This is absolutely critical, it is essential, and it is basic for every member of the flock. I don't think I can overemphasize the importance of this. It will change your life. It will keep you inside and outside living holy. It will shield you from designing devious and crooked people. It will cause you to have a fruitful prayer life. It will do so many things. It'll cause you to bring forth good things, healthy things, wholesome things, because we're all bringing forth something based on what we're treasuring up in our hearts. And then verse 16, he said, I will delight myself in your statutes. I will not forget your word. Matthew Henry's commentary on this verse was this: when the law is written in the heart, duty becomes delight. It may start out feeling like duty. It may start out feeling dry. Social media may be calling to you. Your favorite shows may be calling to you. This may be calling to you. That may be calling to you. And it feels like you're doing your duty. But my friend, when the word gets inscribed on the heart, duty becomes delight. Well, I pray that you got something good from that message. And you know, in talking to different people, it's so interesting. Different parts of the message stand out to different people, maybe because of the season they're in. With some people, it was the fact that prayer doesn't make faith work. Faith makes prayer work. And faith is the result of the word abiding in your heart. with someone else is the fact that we need to ruminate, we need to chew on the Word of God, meditate on it, think on it, speak it aloud, and the fact that sheep would only ruminate when they were resting. And I think that spoke deeply to some people because their lives are very, very busy and they need to rest and take the time to reflect on God's Word. And I say that just to encourage you, if some point of the message stood out to you, take time to think about that. Say, God, what are you saying to me through this? What is it that you're trying to communicate to me? And again, to all of us, I believe that we do need to take the time to read God's Word, to reflect upon it, to hide it in our heart. And as Matthew Henry said, when the Word of God is inscribed upon our hearts, duty becomes delight. May God richly bless you as you spend time in His Word. May He speak to you, change you, and lift you. And thank you to all of those that support our broadcast. You enable us to take this around the world. God bless you. If you don't have a copy of my daily devotional, Answers for Each Day, I'd like to encourage you to get one. It's a way to help discipline yourself to get some of the Word of God into your heart every day. And you know the Scripture says that the inward man is renewed day by day. Jesus said man doesn't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. So you can get your daily spiritual bread, at least part of it, by reading that daily devotional every morning or every night. I give some thoughts. We share a bit on different scriptures and principles from the Bible. It'll be a blessing to you.
Use the information on the screen to get your copy of Bayless Conley's devotional book, Answers for Each Day, for the special price. Start each day by focusing on God's truth and building a stronger faith in God.